Hi everyone, it's me, and today, Star Wars! You can handle the conspiracy! Let's start. Oh, this the classic, the shoo, the one. With the music. Oh my god, Matt looks so young. Oh my god, Matt looks so young. Oh gosh. Oh.
You say rip-off? I say inspired by.
Inspired by.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello Internet! Welcome to Film Theory. Hi.
Forever changing the way you look at all your favorite franchises. And today, I have a...
Oh my god, Matt looks so young just now. This video came out around 5 years ago, so Matt have become that Pat, so...
particularly juicy little conspiracy for you on one of the most important, beloved franchises in sci-fi, Valerian. Oh, and also Star Wars. Maybe you've heard of that one. Maybe you've heard of them both. So I was fortunate enough to see a preview of the new movie Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. In part because they value high-quality YouTube content, but also in part because they #sponsored this episode. Thanks, guys. Ronnie, an extra bread loaf tonight. And if you're like me prior to researching this episode, then you
Ronnie, thank you so much. We miss you.
probably don't know too much about Valerian other than it's a new movie coming out starring the Enchantress from Suicide Squad. Only this time with fewer hula hoop hips and 2 times the bikini. Yes, I counted while I was watching the movie. But here's a mind blow for you. You probably know more about Valerian than you think. As it turns out, Valerian is actually an inspiration for almost every other space-based alien battling captains logging series you've ever seen.
So it's something like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars, Star Trek, something around there, right?
And maybe even something a little bit more for your favorite galaxy far, far away, Star Wars. Now I can already hear you calling blasphemy, trying to force choke me through your computer monitors, but set your phasers to stun, because you're never gonna look at George Lucas's space epic the same way again, after I show you how your favorite moments from Star Wars may have just begun as your favorite moments from Valerian. Before I start preaching the galactic truth, here's a little history lesson for you. Valerian started as Valerian and Laureline, a French comic series from the year 1967. Valerian and Laureline follows a time-traveling, galaxy-hopping agent who spews sarcastic remarks named, fittingly enough, Valerian.
Okay, the art style is quite different from what I recognize nowadays, but you know, be recognizing, be understanding.
And his partner, the equally kick-butt Laureline. We kinda call them a regular Han and Leia. They hop between planets, investigate alien species, and tackle all kinds of personal and intergalactic issues along the way. Sound familiar? Well, the only one to really beat them to the punch in this fictional space race was the original Star Trek, which technically premiered 1 year earlier, but the worlds and adventures created by Valerian were entirely unique at the time. The series was a pioneer in space fiction. One small step for man, one giant leap for fankind. Okay, this is all well and good, but that isn't...
Get it. Instead of mankind, Matt Pat said fankind, which is awesome.
why you click this video. What would prompt me to make the extreme claim that Star Wars may have borrowed an idea or two from Valerian? Well, you don't have to listen to me, let me lay out the evidence so that you can judge for yourselves. Let's start where Lucas's Space Odyssey starts. Luke Skywalker's home planet of Tatooine. It's a desert wasteland populated by a ragtag alien population of traders and has the particular quirk of having 2 suns. And remember, Tatooine originated in Star Wars Episode 4 in the year 1977. May I now present to you the planet Sirti from Valerian's Empire of 1,000 Planets. Desert wasteland setting? Check. Lots of types of aliens who are on the planet to trade with each other? Check. 2 suns, both shown and referred to as suns? Check and check. And Sirti made its first appearance back in 1971, 6 years earlier than A New Hope.
nearly more than half a decade ago.
Okay, obviously that's one small series of details. That's a long way from equating the whole of Star Wars to the whole of Valerian. But hold on, all you nerf herders, I'm just getting warmed up. Next up on the chopping block is Return of the Jedi from 1983, which came out 16 years after Valerian and Laureline started. Remember this scene? Don't deny it, you watched it like 80 times between the ages of 12 and 15. Obviously to figure out why Luke doesn't walk into this scene with a lightsaber. I don't know why else you would be watching it over and over again during.
Let's keep this wholesome and family friendly. Thank you with his lightsaber. Yep.
Your developmental years. But if you can manage to pull your eyes away from Luke's lackluster rescue plan, what you may have missed was this. Princess Leia's new duds, a metal bikini known as the Slave Leia outfits. See, it pays to observe all corners of the frame. This costume design in Return of the Jedi seems pretty memorable, right? A brown and gold metal bikini. It's pretty unique. Like if you'd seen it before, you'd remember having seen it, even if it had been a few years earlier. Say 11 years earlier in 1972, in a graphic novel stand by, you guessed it, Valerian. In Valerian's Land Without Stars, Laureline is taken prisoner on a slaver ship by the evil Emperor Elzafar, who, no joke, has designed his empire so that women do all the work while he relaxes at his palace of resplendent virility. Compensating there much there, buddy? So Laureline is in this slave ship as a part of the harem, but not just that, she's wearing an outfit that may remind you of something, which just begs the question, who wore it better? Outfit, materials it's made out of, setting. It's funny, isn't it, how interstellar female slave outfits share such common characteristics with each other despite being in such vastly different parts of the galaxy. And again, in the interest of showing you the evidence and letting you be the judge, here's Jabba the Hutt and here's Emperor Elzafar. Is it a coincidence that both rulers could stand for a solid juice cleanse? And remember, the Valerian designs are coming a decade prior.
But you must understand that it's quite common, it's quite coincidental. It doesn't hold much water that they copy each other. It's just coincidence, I suppose.
Okay, all of that is still pretty minor stuff. Design aesthetics, setting details, but here's one that might raise an eyebrow for you. One of the signature scenes of Empire Strikes Back is witnessing Han Solo getting frozen in carbonite. To see one of the movie's most beloved heroes wind up incapacitated like that is shocking. Almost as shocking as seeing Leia in the bikini. No judgment. Anyway, the whole thing feels very reminiscent of a moment in Valerian's Empire of 1,000 Planets, where Valerian is taken prisoner by a race known as the Enlightened, to be interrogated about Earth's secrets. To do this, they encase him completely in a hard rock substance that looks and sounds an awful lot like the carbonite in Star Wars, even showing him in an unfortunately familiar position, where he has to be rescued later by Laureline. Observe, if you will, the color of the rock, the thickness of the slab, the overall dimensions of the casing. See any parallels? Again, I'm not here to judge, I'm just a messenger of information.
But you must understand that Star Wars, his face was out, his body was out, was protruding outside. But the other one was encased in a rectangular block. There was no exclusion.
Other detail here worth mentioning is that Valerian experiences memory loss after he comes out of his carbonite shell. His rocky shell, seeming to have what Star Wars later refers to as carbonite sickness. Han Solo experiences this as temporary blindness, but one of the other canon symptoms of carbonite sickness is, you guessed it, memory loss. Okay, but Star Wars is filled with so many other designs and moments. Even if a few elements were maybe inspired by Valerian, there are dozens of even more iconic things originated in this series. What about the Jedi, the Death Star, Darth Vader? Well, about our good buddy Darth. You remember Valerian's Enlightens? Well, I would hope so. I literally mentioned them like 30 seconds ago. If you can't remember them, either need to be paying more attention or should probably get checked out for anterograde amnesia. Dory is also in that waiting room. Anyway,
hi Dory!
In Valerian, Enlightens wear massive helmets that cover their whole face, just like Darth Vader. But you're probably thinking that the Enlightened outfit looks pretty darn different from dear old Darth, right?
Yeah.
And they do. They do look different. The Enlightens are very reminiscent of samurai, right? right? With the horns and the mask. You're probably thinking to yourself, Darth Vader looks a little like them if you squint real hard, but not nearly so Japanese. Well, that's only because you're seeing his final design. His original concept from George Lucas was specifically a malevolent figure in a cape with samurai armor. The final design of Vader reflects the full face mask of the Enlightened combined with the base shape of a samurai helmet. But here's the clincher for this one. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke removes Vader's mask, he reveals Vader's face. A face that's all burnt and disfigured. Well, wouldn't you know it, but in the Valerian comics, we also see under the masks of the Enlightened in Empire of a Thousand Planets. And what we see is this, a burnt and disfigured face. Enemy designs inspired by ancient Japanese aesthetics with helmets covering disfigured faces? Again, I'll leave it up to you to decide what's going on here. But
it's quite coincidental. But having said that, I recognize that maybe he take inspiration from it and improve upon it.
But even the biggest Star Wars supporters out there can clearly see that there are some strong similarities between Valerian and Star Wars. And the ones I pointed out don't even include more general examples, like the fact that both Star Wars Episode 2 and Valerian have a clone army, or that the Millennium Falcon is the same nice flat disc shape as Valerian's ship, the Intruder. The coloring, the shape, the texture, even the rear booster and ability to jump into hyperspace. So then what is our conclusion here?
It's very similar, but it's not to the point in which it holds much water.
Say that Star Wars outright ripped off Valerian ignores all the innovative things unique to Star Wars. The Force, lightsabers, Death Star, Wookiees, Ewoks, Yoda, and on and on and on. Sure, the parallels don't make Star Wars look all that great, but it's not as though it copied Valerian word for word, concept for concept. It borrowed elements from other sources too. Remember when Luke returns home in A New Hope to find his aunt and uncle's farm has been torched? Yeah, well, Lucas has gone on record to say that that was inspired by a John Wayne movie called The Searchers from 1956. The attack on the Death Star at the end of A New Hope is even less ambiguously borrowed from a 1955 British World War II film called The Dam Busters. Instead of an X-Wing squadron going into a trench to fire on the Death Star's single weak spot, the Dam Busters has a squadron of fighter pilots flying low against a riverbed to fire on a single weak spot of the dam. And while that may not sound too similar on paper, if there's any question about whether one influenced the other, a side-by-side comparison shows that Lucas basically recreates the entire sequence shot for shot. And I mean it. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, I'm trying to be as neutral as possible here, and I know the Valerian people want me to stay as neutral as possible, but come on! It is literally shot for shot, angle for angle, scene by scene.
All wings report in.
Red 10 standing by.
I'm here, leader.
Red 3 standing by.
Here, leader.
Red 6 standing by.
Here, leader.
Red 2 standing by.
Here, leader.
Red 5 standing by.
Here, leader.
I'm going to cut across the axis and try and draw their fire.
I'll fly across the dam as you make your run and try and draw the flag off you.
Heck, there are even some who claim that Star Wars' overall plot is ripped off of a samurai movie by Akira Kurosawa called The Hidden Fortress.
Wow. Okay, I recognize that there's some similarity involved, but you must understand that we improve on it. Just like how I learned, it's like how martial arts. I learned martial art from the person who taught me, okay? But I improve upon it. I change upon it. My fist is different, my punch are different, my throws are different, my kicks are different, my grapplings are different, my struggles are different, my breakfall are different. It's similar, but it's more towards a different path. It started off with the foundations of inspiration, but as I carry on, I improve. As I carry on, I change, I differ. There's a variance involved. Because after all, everyone is different. I might be taller, my hands might be longer, I got more body mass. Different styles works better for me. Similarly for movies as well. If it doesn't fit the plot, if it doesn't fit the plot properly, you will not include it.
One of the most important people who claimed that is George Lucas himself in the documentary The Making of Star Wars, when he says, quote, "Hidden Fortress was an influence on Star Wars right from the beginning. I was searching around for a story. I had some scenes, but I couldn't think of a basic plot. And then I thought of Hidden Fortress, which I'd seen in 1972 or 73. And so the first plots were very much like it." End quote. Now, I understand that some of this evidence can be interpreted in multiple ways, but when the founder of the franchise says he's trying to come up with a plot, remembers an old movie he saw, and then models the initial plot on that, it's kinda hard to deny. But hey, real talk here today, guys. I know that I gave Star Wars a really hard time in today's episode. I am a long-term lover of Star Wars, and I'm a new fan of Valerian. Both of these franchises are great, and to say that there was only one original would be pretty unfair. Sure, Star Wars may have borrowed from Valerian, but Valerian borrowed from Dune, and the Samurai, even Buck Rogers. The plots for Valerian are really cool, but they're also the plots of stories like Doctor Who, which are also considered to be groundbreaking and original. The cynical among us might just say that this shows that there's nothing new, and everything in sci-fi is ripping off someone else, but I
have to disagree because we learn from each other and we improve upon each other so that the next time it'll be much better, significantly more improvements. So yeah.
I prefer a more optimistic view. An optimistic view presented by one of the creators of Valerian and Laureline himself, Pierre Christin. When he saw Star Wars in 1977 and recognized, you know, a lot of the elements in it, he didn't sue anybody or even get mad. According to an interview in 2015, he said, quote, "I was thrilled. I instantly felt connected with Star Wars because of the number of intersections and parallels with our comic strips." And you know what? That's a pretty cool way of approaching it because pretty much everything is a retelling of something. Whether it's The Lion King retelling Kimba the White Lion, which is retelling Hamlet, or The Matrix being a futuristic retelling of the Bible. Or, as Christin puts it in the same interview, that's how it goes in sci-fi. It's all about copying from one another. Or, in other terms, you borrow something from someone else and develop it further. Star Wars may have carried a torch from Valerian, but that just means that there are now two sci-fi franchises that we can all enjoy. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. 'Tis the season of the Force, fa la 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 la. More Star Wars theories coming, of course, fa la 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 la. Hit subscribe to see them all, fa la 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 la. Coming out throughout the fall, fa la 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 la. La la la. And damn the fun you see on screen to check out the economic ramifications of blowing up the Death Star. The Empire may not be as bad as you once thought. Next week, it's Rick and Morty time, so prepare to get swifty.
Wow, the transition was very abrupt. That escalated quickly. Well, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I did. It was very intriguing, very understanding, and very educational. I hope that you learned something from this video. Thank you so much. And if you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share of us. Don't forget to follow my channel, and I sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. Thank you so much. It's very motivating and inspiring for me to continue. Thank you so much for being so uplifting and positive. And I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye! Thank you so much. Subscribe.